What's up, guys? Happy Fight Song Friday. It is a new episode of the Bostonian versus the Book. I'm your host, Matt Perrault. We are live on YouTube and X. We are replayed on Sports Grid Television and podcasts everywhere. So I apologize for being on a little bit late. I'll explain it here in a second as to why the ish time. But should Mac Jones be starting for the 49ers? We're going to get into that in the opening line momentarily. It's a Fight Song Friday. That means fight song throughout the show. 4 big college games to get into, including one tonight in the Big 12 that we'll talk about. Florida State hosting Miami and Alabama hosting Vanderbilt. Everyone's talking about the Browns quarterback situation, and I cannot figure out why we care about the Cleveland Browns. It's odd. Meanwhile, AL and NL divisional series are set. They will begin tomorrow. We have 3 game threes to recap from yesterday. The Phillies and the Dodgers getting set to tangle tomorrow in an epic 5-game series. We'll start this show with the opening line here in just 1 second, but I just want to say one quick thing as to, I apologize for being on a bit late on the live side of things. It is sort of appropriate, but it's been a tough day. It's been a tough morning. So, I'm in a tough spot mentally, and I don't think, and this show has been, for a long time, we have talked about being vulnerable as men. So I think it would be a little bit on the disingenuous side of me if I didn't share as to what's going on with me and how difficult I think tomorrow is going to be and how difficult Sunday and Monday is going to be. And I appreciate everyone who has reached out and who has asked how I'm doing, but I'm not doing well. I'll just say that. I'm not doing well. And I feel like I have been, I don't know what the word is. I've been trying to process my grief, and I've been trying to keep a straight face or keep a stiff upper lip and try to be there for you guys to do the show and to be, somebody of a conduit to tell the world about Dave and tell the world about our friendship and this show and everything that's been going on. And I feel like I've been burying a lot. and I've described it as this wave that I see coming, and it's here and it's tomorrow. Because tomorrow makes it real. And I don't know how I'm going to respond to tomorrow. And I'm really kind of nervous about that because I'm supposed to be, I don't know. I'm supposed to walk into this service tomorrow and the funeral on Monday. And I feel very, I'm not sure what the word is, lost about all this. And I haven't shared it, and I guess it's just because it's Friday, and this is Dave's show. Like, this was, Roll Call Friday was Dave's show. It's what we did. It's what we always looked forward to. We were always so excited. We always talked on Thursday night, and we always talked on Friday. And, like, there's this hole in me that I can't fill, and I don't know if I ever will be able to. And this show has meant so much to me and so much to Dave. And together, we did so many fun things, and I'm so mad that I love this show and I love doing this show, but I can't believe that it's not going to be me and somebody else. I was trained as a radio host, as a solo host to do all sorts of things. I worked on WEI in Boston. I worked in Houston. I worked in Kansas City. I've worked on national networks like Yahoo Sports Radio. And, I've done national TV now with Sports Grid. And I've done all these things in my career. And I've done all of these, you could say, preparatory type of jobs to be here, sitting here in this chair, doing this show, being entertaining, bringing an edge, bringing an angle, bringing plays, bringing thoughts, bringing unique concepts, bringing hot takes, all the things that I and we as media people are taught to do. And I think the one thing that I loved about BVB, the thing that I loved about what this show for me, what it was, is I had the perfect foil. I had found the co-host that fit me perfectly, because wherever I was lacking, Dave filled in. And whenever Dave was lacking, Dave filled in. And I am pretty confident I'm never going to find that again in anybody that I'm going to work with. And then I know I'm never going to find the friendship that I had with him as somebody who was willing to go on a journey that nobody else would go on. Like, I don't want to make this all about Dave, but I said this would be the last day that we're going to do it. I just want to say one quick story, and then we'll go on to the opening line. Dave and I would go months without making a single dollar on this show. Do you know how difficult it would be to approach somebody else and let's just say I found the perfect person, the person that had the experience behind the counter, the personality to bring something to the air, the ability to carry a conversation, but also not take themselves too seriously, the depth of sports knowledge and love of the game beyond just the betting. Let's just say we found that person. Hypothetically, we found that person. How would you tell them that, by the way, you're not going to get paid? You're not going to make a single dollar doing the hours of work that we do for this show. The money will be there. We'll get once in a while. I bet Chris Arizona will come in and sponsor the show. A Huel will come in and sponsor the show. We'll get different people. There are sponsors that want to be on the show. I'm not saying we never made money. We made money. We made a good full-time salary off of this show. We did. I'm not saying we didn't make money. We did make money on this show. But it was inconsistent. It wasn't like a salary. It wasn't like someone you could come in and be like, hey, by the way, I'm going to pay you X every single month to do this show. And we knew that. Dave and I knew that. And we signed up for that. Our families had to deal with that. That's not easy. Hey, are you getting paid this month for the show you're doing for 4.5 hours? No. What do you mean, no? No. It's all an investment. The time that was put in to this show, the investment that was made to do this show. I don't know anyone else in the business that would do that. I don't know anybody else. It was the perfect marriage. It was the perfect everything, because without Sports Grid for Dave, he couldn't do BVB. And without Betting Pros for me, I couldn't do BVB. But we had two companies that were willing to employ us to do things for them, and they were both okay with us doing this show. That also is a unicorn, by the way, and both those companies do deserve a lot of credit for allowing this to happen and not sign us to exclusivity deals and say, guys, you aren't going to do a content piece that competes with us. No, you work for us. We're the ones that are paying you a salary. You work for us. You got to get rid of that show. Nope. Both companies were totally fine with that. And then Sports Grid went a step farther, and Sports Grid has put us on the air. And Sports Grid went ahead and did that and put us on the air and replay us every weeknight at 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern. So I have a huge debt of gratitude to them, and they've kept the show on without Dave. I mean, this isn't what the show was supposed to be, but they've kept it on. And Mike Cardano and the brass at Sports Grid have my thanks and my incredible appreciation for doing that. Now, I work for Sports Grid at times as well, so that allows, I think, the continuity to keep going with the show. But that's just to give you an idea of how much of a rug pull this whole thing has been. And I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. I really don't. But if you are coming to town, it is tomorrow. And we will say goodbye to Dave on Saturday and on Sunday with visitation, and then the funeral on Monday. Reminder, there is no show on Monday because of this. From 10 to 11, there will be a funeral service, and then we'll lay Dave to rest at 11 to 11:30 at the Palm Northwest Mortuary and Cemetery here in Las Vegas. I know a lot of people are coming into town. I know it's going to be a very long weekend for the family, and I think anything and everything that we can all do for the Sherapan family, that is the last time we'll put the GoFundMe up on the screen, but that is what that QR code will take you to, the GoFundMe for the Sherapan family. And you guys have been amazing. And the community's been amazing. And everyone's been amazing. I mean, Circa reached out to me yesterday, and Circa was like, hey, what can we do? Let's do something together. And I don't know. Like right now, I told them, you guys are awesome. And I love you. And I love Circa. And I love Derek Stevens. And I think that they are everything that you would want in a locally owned property that Dave loved Circa. And for Circa to reciprocate that type of relationship is heartwarming and really a nice story. But I don't know. Like the answer is, I don't know. I got to get through the weekend. Like, let me get through Monday, and then we could talk about, what we do from a celebration of life or a community event for just the sports betting industry. I don't know. And that's sort of, I guess, why I had to talk about this in order to be able to do the show, and I was literally on the phone with Amanda 5 minutes before we went on the air bawling. And she was like, how are you going to do the show? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do the show. And this has, when Dave and I were going through it, when I was going through my divorce, or Dave was going through some rough stuff health-wise or just life stuff-wise, we used to say, do the show. Keep doing the show. It's the one thing Dave used to always say to me. We just got to keep doing the show. We just got to keep doing the show. And that has been how I have done the show this week, is that thought. Keep doing the show. Keep doing the show. Because those were his words. And I think that's what he would want me to do, is keep doing the show. Take the thing and run with it. Turn it into as big of a thing that you can possibly do. And that's the best way to honor him, to keep his legacy alive and to keep his personality alive. Keep everything he wanted to do alive. But I'm a liar if I'm telling you guys that I'm not a mess right now. And I'm not. Spun up, and there's so many things happening. There's so many emotional things that in the wake of grief, in the wake of death, in the wake of losing somebody, that you don't process it the right way half the time. And I know I'm not processing the right way. And I know that you guys aren't tuning into a sports show to hear some 48-year-old guy, I'm knocking things over, whine and cry. It's not what this show is supposed to be. But I don't know. I felt like I would have been a fraud today if I like starting the show right on time. That was always my thing. Dave's thing was starting the show late. He loved to start the show late just because he could. It was just because he could. It was our show. Nobody could tell us what to do. Nobody could tell him what to do. He loved that. The ish time was all him. And so I thought it was appropriate as I'm sitting here, wiping tears, trying to gather myself to go to a show. And I'm going, oh, it's already 10:04. This is exactly the appropriate way to start this show, because he used to drive me nuts. I used to get so mad at him. I was like, why can't we start the show on time? Why can't we just do this? And it was, nobody told Dave what to wear. Nobody told him what to do. That's true. And I loved that about him. I absolutely did. I loved the defiance, even though it pissed me off so much. I used to get so mad at him for so many things, but the defiance was so awesome to watch him walk around Radio Row. I felt like a proud dad half the time, because Dave had always, when he first walked into that studio at the Palms, and he'd talked to me about Penn State and being a broadcast major and wanting to work in media. And then he got into media, and we talked for hours about him and his career. And I was basically like his consultant about what he should do and where he should do it and who he should be talking to and who to watch out for. And You know, people who had hired him, he gave me his contracts and he would go, what do I do? What should I ask for? Does this seem appropriate? And I was able to help him and navigate through so many different things. But I used to just laugh because he would the one thing he never listened to was the way things were supposed to go in media. Because McAfee's the same way. Dave was doing it before Pat, really, in a lot of ways. And he just did it his own. I mean, maybe it's a Pittsburgh thing. I don't know. But it's just, we're going to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And I don't really care if you don't like it, but this is what I'm going to do. You know, McAfee wears tank tops. Dave wore jerseys and hats. You ever watch Sports Grid? We all have to wear sport coats on Sports Grid. All of us. This show we don't because Dave and I owned it, but everyone is wearing a sport coat. Do you know who never wore a sport coat ever on Sports Grid? Dave wore hats on national TV consistently. And they had to let him do it. He was a loophole. There was a Dave Sharapan rule. Everybody else couldn't follow that rule. Nobody else could do that. But Dave and others tried. Don't fool yourself. Others tried. Nope, they couldn't do it. It was only Dave because Dave wouldn't work otherwise. He literally was like, okay, I'm good. And he'd walk. He was the ringing endorsement to the line that a man named Bill Donovan told me when I moved to Alabama in 2000, when I was 21 years old, and I watched him throw the Tennessee Titans out of his office because the Titans were trying to make him pay for the rights to broadcast the Titans in Huntsville, which was about 2 hours to the south. And the Titans were an expansion team, and the Titans had been good for like 2 years, and they were trying to grow their radio network. And the Titans came in and sat down with Bill Donovan, and they sat down and said, "You're going to pay us." And he said, "No, I'm not." He goes, "I'll air your game, but I'm not paying a dime for it." And this was a big deal. We had a lot of money in the Titans. We had a lot of sponsorship dollars in the Titans, and they looked dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. They'd never been told no before. These guys had worked all over the NFL product in the South, anywhere. It's the NFL. What do you mean you're not going to pay? And he basically told them to get out of his office. He said, "Get out." And I sat there dumbfounded going like, oh my gosh. And he looked at me and he said, "Matt, we never sit down to a table to negotiate unless we're willing to get up and walk away. Because if you sit down on a table and you can't walk, you've already lost. If they want us bad enough, they'll come back." Lo and behold, Titans came back, and we aired the Titans that football season, and he didn't pay a dime for it. I learned an unbelievable lesson, but Dave did it too. Dave, I used to tell him all the time, Bill D would have loved you, and he never met Bill D. And he used to say, I gotta meet Bill Donovan. I gotta meet Bill D. His brother wrote a book about Bear Bryant, and was up to this point is literally the voice, the number one biography about Bear Bryant. And the Donovan family in football go hand in hand, but in negotiations, unbelievable. Unbelievable. What are you asking here? Does Dave's sports consigliere opening belong to Sports Grid? What do you mean, Jimmy Football? What? I'm confused. What do you mean? Which opening are you talking about? I'm not sure. Yeah, it's never going to be the same. Nothing. This show's not the same, Eron Sean. No show's going to be the same. I mean, I guarantee you. I mean, anybody that was working with Dave, nothing's the same. That's the problem. That's the issue. It was a pre-banner before he came on. I don't know. I don't know if, I mean, Sports Grid designed it. So like we have our own stuff for Dave, but Sports Grid designed it. So anything that was on Sports Grid, they own. So I guess the answer is yes to that. I don't know. What I guess I didn't see it. I mean, did you mean that like when he would come on, they ran that like consigliere thing like that? Yeah, Sports Grid's own. They technically they own that. So, anyways, sorry about that. That was not. I wasn't planning on doing that today, but that was something I had to say at the top because I wasn't going to be able to do the show. Otherwise, I had to. I'm always honest with you guys. I always want to tell you guys the truth about what's going on. And a man who I know who lost his son to a horrible car crash sent me a text this morning and asked me how I was doing. And I told him not good. And he told me, I'll read you the text because it shocked me, or not shocked me, but he said, you have to meet it head on. Your vulnerability is your strength. The pain is real. The grief is real, but so is your love, your courage, and your resilience. The pain is part of you, not just the end of you. You will always carry a part of Dave in your heart, taking him everywhere and everywhere you go. Peace and love. I was a mess after that. So I thought I had to say something at the top. I had to at least say that, that my vulnerability is my strength. Okay. I'm going to be vulnerable today because I wish I could say I'm doing well, but I'm not doing great. But it's a Fight Song Friday. Dave loved college football. He loved NFL football. And I had his words ringing in my head so much last night. Opening line. Let's talk about Mac Jones. All right, Niner Nation, what are you guys doing? Is it Brock Purdy or Mac Jones? Last night, the books cleaned up, and I was really missing Dave because I went, you know what? That's a bet that Dave would have talked me out of. I know for a fact he would have said, Matt, divisional game, prime time, standalone. Everyone's betting like this game's already been played. Look at the number. It was 3.5, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 9. Everyone's betting it like the game's already been played. The books are comfortable with this. Why? Why are the books comfortable here? They're just taking bets, moving the number, taking bets, moving the number. Survivor contests, everyone's all in on the Rams. Me, I'm all in. I teased it down. I laid 7.5. We're all in. The Niners aren't winning this game. They're without their starting quarterback, 2-star wide receivers, an all-pro tight end, an all-pro defensive end. And they have Mac Jones playing quarterback against a Rams defense that played really well against Indianapolis and a Rams offense that was humming against the Colts. Puka Nacua setting records, 50 catches. He's unstoppable. Whoops. A funny thing happened on the way to the window to cash all of our tickets. See you later. Niners win the game outright. Forget covering. They win the game outright. Now, I have a ticket on the Niners to win the NFC West. So on some levels, I was okay with that outcome, but not for my bankroll immediately because I got smacked last night. And it was a big lesson. Divisional games, Matt. Look out for divisional games. Big numbers in divisional games. Do not lay big numbers in divisional games. We got one on Sunday night that I'd be careful with. I mean, Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. He wanted him, but he was forced to draft Trey Young. And now ultimately he's showing that he is 100% or was 100% correct in the drafting of Mac Jones by getting a huge win. Now, the call to go for it on 4th and 1, I wouldn't have done it because I'm at home and I'm Sean McVay. I play for overtime, but more than likely, if Sean McVay kicks a field goal there, I was feeling it was tie vibes all over the place. I really feel like that game ends in a tie. Mac Jones was banged up. His knee was bothering him. He was cramping up. He was eating bananas on the sidelines. Like everything was a mess with Mac Jones and the Niners. So I think that game ends in a tie. So I lose anyway. All right. Regardless, if you kick the field goal or not, I'm losing my bet. I'm losing my teaser. So I was fine. Go ahead. Go for it. I didn't like the play call at all. You've got two great wideouts and a Hall of Fame quarterback. What do the Rams do really well? They throw the ball. We're running the football. The Niners knew you were going to run the football, just like the Rams knew the Niners were going to run the ball from the 2-yard line after the fumble at the goal line. They knew what was coming. They stopped him, got the ball back. It was that whole overtime was very, very strange last night. It didn't make a whole lot of sense on either side. But Brock Purdy is owed $181 million. What are the 49ers going to do? Because if you look at the media and look at the way this is being reported, everyone's saying that there is a gigantic controversy, that Brock Purdy has lost his job. Mac Jones has Wally-pipped Brock Purdy. I mean, Al Michaels was doing everything in his power last night to create a quarterback controversy between the two quarterbacks. And for Mac Jones's credit, the guy is just saying everything correct in the media. I'm just trying to win games for Brock. I'm holding down the fort for Brock. It's Brock's team, blah, blah, blah. But after the game, Kyle Shanahan was asked whether or not he thinks that Mac Jones is a starting quarterback in the NFL. And he said, absolutely. I've always thought that Mac Jones is a starting quarterback in the NFL. He continued by saying he played his ass off, man. 33 of 49, 342, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was unbelievable in the first half. He got banged up there in the second half and battled through it. He protected the ball, and going against that defense and throwing that ball that many times, not having a turnover and protecting the ball like he did. I can't say enough good things about Mac. Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and was overruled by management to draft Trey Lance, who is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Mac Jones is 3-0 for the 49ers. He's 3-0. Now, the Rams dropped a pick that should have been intercepted that would have iced the game. They would have won the game. Instead, they went down and kicked the go-ahead field goal, but that pick would have been it because I think the Rams pick them off. They go down the field, game-winning field goal. End of story. The interception from Mac Jones costs the team the victory. That dropped interception literally changes the entire narrative for this football team going forward. Because if Mac Jones throws that pick, because that's the pick he's known for, ask Patriot fans, there was always one throw that you went, Mac, come on, man. You can't make that throw. And that's why he was out of New England, because he just would make a crucial mistake in a crucial spot. And he did it. Just the Rams dropped it. One guy dropped it. The DB would have picked it off. If the linebacker didn't catch it, the DB would have. And that would have won the game for the Rams. Instead, the linebacker drops it, and the Niners go and kick the field goal. So, to me, if you look at this battle as to how it goes, I will be very, very curious to see how this organization handles Brock Purdy. He's a 7th-round pick. He's making $50+ million a year. He has a massive contract, and he is 1-1. And Mac Jones is 3-0. This is the schedule for the next 3 weeks for the 49ers. They play at Tampa, they play home for Atlanta, and they go at Houston. Winning on the road at LA, beating Arizona, and beating New Orleans. Those are the 3 wins for Mac Jones. Opener against Seattle, Niners and Brock Purdy won the game. And then last week against Jacksonville, the loss at home, Brock Purdy was the quarterback in that game, not Mac Jones. If Mac Jones opens up 5-1 or 6-0, how do the 49ers go back, regardless of the contract situation? Going forward, maybe it's Brock Purdy's team going forward. And maybe Mac Jones, it's a similar deal with J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold, where Sam Darnold played really well for the Vikings, and now he plays for the Seahawks. Maybe you play Mac Jones all the way through, and Mac Jones winds up playing somewhere else next year, and you have Brock Purdy healthy for next year and beyond. But Kyle Shanahan doesn't really feel like the guy that would want to do that. When he invests in a guy and he likes a guy, I think Kyle Shanahan would probably have a pretty big problem with that and say, hold everything. Who's taking Brock Purdy's contract would be my question. If you want to, move off of Brock Purdy, who's taking that? Who's taking that? No one's taking that contract. They're a little stuck. The Niners are a little stuck. But what a win for Mac. What a performance. And let's see where we go from here. But 3-0, and that outfit that Mac wore for pregame looked like the Joker, half black, half red, no socks, the loafers. Mac is a weird cat. He was weird in New England. He's weird. He's been weird everywhere he's gone. But I think in San Francisco, it works. It works because he has a coach who gives him a game plan that fits what he can do. And Kyle Shanahan ultimately was proven correct. The Trey Lance pick was wrong. They should have drafted Mac Jones 3rd overall. And who knows, maybe that Brock Purdy contract would have been Mac Jones's contract, and the $181 million guaranteed, the $40 million signing bonus that Brock Purdy got this offseason could have been Mac Jones. Here we go on oh, wow. You were thinking Brendan wants Brock over Mac? Oh, okay. Your coach doesn't agree. Let's talk some baseball as of what happened last night. Tigers win game 3. They knock out the Guardians. Detroit moves on to face Seattle. The Guardians offense, I hope the Guardians do spend some money in the offseason and get some offense, because there's not enough offense. That offense was pathetic all year, and they pitched so well going down the stretch that they were able to get enough timely hitting to catch the Tigers. So at the end of the day, the Guardians have nothing to hang their hats about. They set a record back 15 and a half games. They catch the Tigers. It had had probably more to do with what the Tigers did than the Guardians, but the Tigers getting just ice cold while you saw the Guardians getting enough offense to dovetail with their pitching to go back and go 11-4 down the stretch and to catch the Tigers. So nothing to be sad about if you're the Guardians. Hell of a season, hell of a win, or hell of a divisional win. But for the Tigers, okay, you've moved on, and now you've gone to face in a best of 5 against Seattle. Seattle is -175 to win this best of 5 series. Little heavy, not going to lie. Feels a little heavy given the offense for the Tigers. And if they hit, and they didn't hit in September, but if they hit in October, many people have said this, and I tend to agree, that the Tigers are built for October more than they're built for a September run. So if they get timely hitting, Flaherty was good. I bet against Flaherty. He was good. Like, there's no other way around it. He was good, but being good against the Guardians lineup is not that hard. So let's see what happens when you're facing a guy with 60 home runs in Cal Raleigh. A little bit of a different situation here for the Seattle Mariners and their offense. They can go pitch for pitch with Detroit, if not better. So let's see how this goes. But Seattle, I don't know. I think there's some value there on the Tigers, to be quite honest. The Padres were really mad at the way the game went yesterday with the umpires. They were furious. Coaches and players had to be held back after the game was over and the Cubs advanced, as the umpires made their way through the dugout for the Padres. It was big mad. They were big mad as to strike calls, the strike zone calls, replay. There was a lot of frustration for the Padres with their loss yesterday. And they had a case. I thought, next year it'll be different when you can tap the hat and you can appeal a call and you can challenge. So we won't have this problem next year in the postseason. But if you're a Padre fan, you're upset today. And I think you have a right to be upset today. There were some really bad calls and bad strike calls against your team, but the offense was the bigger problem. The Padres didn't hit, and going on the road, it was a big problem during the regular season for San Diego, and it proved to be a problem in the playoffs as well. The Cubs, one of the best teams at home, they will advance to take on the Brewers, and the Brewers are not big favorites. This is going to be wild. I'm very happy I have a 7-1 ticket on the Cubs to win the National League, as well as that 27-1 ticket on the Brewers to win the World Series. So I have a team already. I have tickets on both these teams to advance to the National League Championship Series. So I'm good with whoever wins. I'm pulling for Milwaukee because there's more value there, obviously. So I'm hoping Milwaukee wins, but this is going to be an epic battle. If you're a Cub fan, you feel pretty confident. Cub fans feel like they're going to advance. because of what the Brewers have done in the postseason, which is bumkisk. So if you are a Red Sox fan, you can see this and go, oh, I remember this. This looks familiar, right? The Cubs, the big market team, the big payroll team. Oh, yeah, that city up north to us. We don't worry about them. But the Brewers have their pitching staff right. If they pitch the way they're capable of, the Brewers should win this in 4. If they pitch the way they're capable of. It's a big if, but if they pitch the way they're capable of, the Brewers should win this series in 4. If the Cubs hit, in particular, if they win both games at Wrigley, knowing they got to take one game from Milwaukee to win the series, it's offense versus defense in a lot of ways, hitting against pitching. And I'm not saying the Cub pitching is horrible, but Milwaukee's got a big advantage coming up for that. And yes, we will talk about the historic performance by Cam Schlittler, who was unbelievable. 12 Ks, 8 shutout innings yesterday. The Mass native was unreal. I mean, historic, incredible performance. 8 innings, 5 hits given up, no earned runs, no walks, 12 Ks. Red Sox fan who was at the 2004 parade. He was at the parade for the Red Sox in 2004, and he knocks out the Red Sox in game number 3. It is the first time a pitcher making his Major League Baseball debut in the playoffs to go 8+ innings with 12 Ks, no runs, and no walks. I mean, this is one of the most dominant outings ever, and he did it in his 15th career start. 100-mile-per-hour gas like it was easy. Good pitcher. We'll see. You know, these are the guys, unfortunately, when they throw this hard at this age, we start talking about Tommy John surgery, and it's almost like every single pitcher has to get Tommy John now because they throw their arm out. But that was incredible. Did Boston leave early out there for too long? I mean, a little bit, but it didn't matter. I think it was, in a way, I felt like that was Alex Cora setting up for next year because they're going to have to lean on early next year. He's going to be part of the rotation next year. So I think they wanted to get him some experience because Boston wasn't hitting. And I don't know. It was weird. I agree that I thought there would be a quicker hook than there was. But Boston's defense is going to be addressed in the offseason. They're going to get, and I think there's a real good shot that Boston goes all in on Polar Bear and they go get Pete Alonso to play first base. I think that would probably be the number one target. If I were the Red Sox, that's what I would look to do, is go get a power bat like that. They're going to get Roman Anthony back, and that's going to be huge to get him. I think they need to figure out what to do with Jared Duran. If they're going to keep him, keep him. If you're going to trade him, trade him. I think that's been, I mean, that guy's a roller coaster, and he was the bad type of roller coaster in this series against the Yankees. But look, playing 3 games on the road, it's really hard. I said it before the series. It is a Mickey Mouse part of baseball that you play a 3-game series all at one ballpark. That's a joke, okay? But those are the rules, and you need to, now, if you're the Red Sox, you need to go and make sure that you're the number 1 wild card or win the division so you don't have to worry about this. Because unfortunately for the Red Sox, they made history. They became the first team to win game 1 and then lose in the best of 3. Normally, the team that wins game 1 wins the series. But as I told you guys yesterday, the Red Sox and the Yankees since 2003 had played. This was the 4th time that they had played a deciding 1-game winner-take-all situation. Boston had won the previous 2 after 2003 being won by the Yankees. The way the Red Sox and the Yankees go, they're now 13-12 in the playoffs. They were 12-12 going into that series. You can see it. It's the Yankees' time to win. It's the Red Sox time next. So they're just that evenly matched. But the Yankees are a better team than the Red Sox. There's no debate that. The Red Sox offense just, I mean, I don't know what they were doing. The only guy that had the right approach all night was Yoshida, who was just taking the ball and dumping it into left field. Like, I don't understand why Boston was up there hacking, trying to hit home runs every single time. Just make contact. They were late on the fastball every at-bat. Nobody was on that fastball but Yoshida. and he was doing the right thing. So I didn't like the hitting approach for the Red Sox last night. I thought that it was way too anxious. I thought the ballpark got to the young kids. I thought the pressure got to them. And again, I think the Red Sox with their pitching staff, with the top of the order, top of the pitching lineup being Garrett Crochet, who's only going to get better. Okay. He's only going to get better. They got to bring Bregman back. That's a requirement. You must bring Bregman back. Trevor Story is going to be interesting to see. I don't know if he'll be back or not, but the Red Sox may make some moves with Trevor Story, but they got to clean up the outfield. You got too many outfielders, right? I mean, you got great defensive outfielders who don't hit. Rafaela at times can have a clutch hit, and he's been a great utility guy. He should be on the team, but he shouldn't be a starter. And that's a problem. Again, what do you do in right field? What are you doing in left field? What are you doing with the power bats, right? Bregman is there. He's not going anywhere. Your second baseman's in flux. So I feel like Boston's got all these pieces, but they got to nail them down. Marcelo Myers coming back next year. That's huge. Christian Campbell is another kid that they gave a big contract to. They got to figure him out to come back. He's supposed to play second, but hopefully he plays second next year. So the future is very, very bright for Boston. I'm not that angry at all about what happened here. I don't believe this is correct. This makes no flipping sense. I don't understand this at all. The Yankees being the odds-on favorite, tied with the Dodgers to win the World Series. The Phillies, all of a sudden, the Phillies now, who haven't played, the Phillies are now 5-1. Going into the wild card, the Phillies were the odds-on favorite. Now they're behind the Yankees. Why? Because the Yankees won a series against the Red Sox? They got to play Toronto, okay? Like, are we just totally blowing past the Blue Jays? 8-1. The Blue Jays, like, hold on. Like, if I'm a Blue Jay fan, I'm like, hold on. We have home field, right? We're the team that was dominant at home, right? I don't get that price. I mean, I don't understand that price. I would agree, Jay. Yeah, great value on the Tigers. Yes, 100%. Great value. I don't get that price on the Yankees. Like, what just happened? Did the pros just come in and bury on New York because they got past the Red Sox? That Aaron Boone was able to hand the ball to one guy and he had to staple his ass to the bench so he didn't go and pull him? Aaron Boone faded himself last night. All the analytics would have told you to pull the kid after 7 innings, but he let him go back out there for the 8th. What? Why? Oh, right. He watched Alex Cora do it in game 1 and realized I better do that or I'm not going to get out of Yankee Stadium. So I don't understand it. That price doesn't make a lick of sense to me. But, the Yankees are favored against the Blue Jays. They're favored to win the series at -125 against the Blue Jays. So we'll see. And then finally, the Titanic fight is happening. Unbelievable matchup this is going to be. Tomorrow, if you're a baseball fan, Cubs, Brewers at 2:00 Eastern, Yankees, Blue Jays at 4:00 Eastern, Dodgers, Phillies at 6:30 Eastern, and then Detroit and Seattle, the late night game at 8:30 Eastern time. 4 games in the divisional series tomorrow. And it dovetails with the not so great college football slate. So if you are a baseball fan, tomorrow's pretty good. Tomorrow is really, 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 really good to get into it. So, all right, let's talk college football. Fight Song Friday time, boys and girls. Let's start with a game that's going to happen coming up here tonight. It is West Virginia at BYU. The number is 19 and a half, or 20, depending on what book you're looking at. The total is 46. We have a 20-point line, and the total is 46. BYU gets to play West Virginia after they took on Utah and got beat up last Saturday at home by Utah. This is one of the more difficult 1-2 games I can remember in Big 12 history. To be West Virginia in the first year of Rich Rod, you play at home up against Utah that battered you for 4 quarters. And then you got to turn around and you got to go play on a Friday night in Provo, Utah, where, yeah, I know they don't drink, but whatever. They're going to be rocking on a Friday night with a quarterback who they're high on, coming off of a home game against Stanford in which you were a 20-point favorite at home against Stanford and you covered. 3-1 ATS BYU, and the only game they didn't cover was last week in which they won at Colorado. They were laying 6.5 and they won the game, came from behind, but they won the game against the Buffaloes last Saturday. This is a really tough environment. I feel badly for West Virginia in Rich Rod's first year. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The team got the win over Pitt in the backyard brawl, and that's all that fans really care about when it comes to year one with Rich Rod. He's got a lot of young kids on this team. Going on the road to Provo is bad news tonight. I have a hard time seeing West Virginia staying in that game. Their team total is 13.5. I'm not sure they score 10, to be quite honest. They might get 2 field goals. This does not feel like a good situation for a tough matchup. Yeah, I think you got to fade Rich Rod. I think I bet against him the last 2 weeks. I'm going to do it again. You got to bet against him. It's just young team on the road. Bad situation for sure. That was not the fight song. This one. Every once in a while, the left-hand mouse click. I misfire. I apologize. Texas laying 5 on the road against Florida. The total is 42. So here's my spidey sense, okay? Here's my spidey sense. That the most tickets at most sports books, including BetMGM, I saw this reported this morning, have 5 and 5.5 for Florida. Everybody thinks that Florida is going to be able to keep Texas off the scoreboard with their defense. I'm not betting this game, but if Texas wins by 10 points or more, I'm not going to be surprised. These are the games that Billy Napier gets blown out in, where no one's talking all that much about them. We talked about this yesterday with Adam Bjorn, that they hadn't seen much action at BetCris Arizona or at Prime Sportsbook. They hadn't seen a lot of action in money, but when they were taking it, who was betting it? They were betting Florida. I don't know how you bet Florida here. I get it. They're at home. I get it. Arch Manning has not looked good, and people are all out on Texas, and it's a long season. I would wait and see how low this gets. You get 4, 4.5. How low does this go? And if I was going to bet it, I would bet Texas. I think the Longhorns go in there, and I think they're going to surprise some people. This might be, and I know it's a tough spot to get right with that defense for Florida, but I don't like the offense. And Texas's defense is nasty and underrated, an underappreciated defense for Texas. I don't like the offense for Florida. It's a huge game. Florida wins this game outright. Billy Napier can hang his hat on this and say, hey, look, we struggled in the beginning, but we beat Texas. So Texas lost on the road to Ohio State. Let's see what they do here at Florida. But if I was going to bet it, gun to my head, I would say Texas. I would lay the points with Texas. I think the Longhorns get a touchdown or better victory here on the road up against a Florida defense that everyone seems to be so incredibly high on, which I like the defense. It's really good. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. Fight song for Miami as they go on the road for the first time this year at Florida State. Total is 54.5. Everyone's on Florida State. I'm on Florida State. I don't think it's a crazy bet by any means to think that at home, Florida State's going to have enough offense to hurt Miami's defense, even though they've been really good. Because now they got to go on the road. And I think it's a whole different environment when you get to sit at home and play 4 games at home and you're just rolling people. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Miami, top 3 in the country. Look what Miami's doing to everybody. This is incredible. I think Florida State's got a really good offense, and I think Florida State can score. And I mean, this is going to be awesome. I think Doak Campbell Stadium is going to be absolutely rocking. You can't throw picks. Castellanos cannot throw interceptions in this game. If he avoids turning the football over, he's thrown 3 of them so far this year. I think FSU can win the game outright. They're coming off of a crazy triple overtime game against Virginia on the road. That's a bad loss. But you look at the wins for Miami, beating Florida, South Florida. The Notre Dame win's huge, but it was at home. Okay. Now we're on the road. Okay. And the last time FSU had a nationally top ranked team going into their building was Alabama in week number 1, and they beat Alabama. This is a rivalry of rivalry games. These teams hate each other. There's all sorts of history with Bobby Bowden and field goal kickers and everything else that goes into this. I mean, this is huge, huge game for Miami and Florida State here. I'll take the points. Give me the home dog for Florida State at +4.5. Just don't turn the ball over. If you don't turn the ball over, I think it's a field goal game again for Miami and Florida State. To turn the ball over, it could be difficult. But then again, Carson Beck might turn the ball over. Carson Beck might be the one throwing picks. So, yeah, Janikowski. What a kicker, man. Florida State and Miami. If it comes down to a field goal, it's appropriate. So at 4.5, give me the Noles. +4.5 for Florida State at home. Big game in the ACC. Looking forward to this one. And finally, the game of the weekend in the SEC. Oh, boy. Can Diego Pavia do it to Alabama on the road? It's one thing to do it at home. It's one thing when Alabama is the number 1 ranked team in the country and nobody sees little old Vanderbilt. No one sees that little squirt quarterback running around. Come on, Diego Pavia can't do it to Alabama. And then Vandy makes history. Beats Alabama for the first time at home in like 70 years. Alabama is ready for this game. This number opened up at 13.5, and everyone's betting it down. This is a better Vanderbilt team than the team last year, but it's also a much better Alabama team than last year with a much better quarterback. Now, you could talk about athletes, and fine. Jalen Milroe, incredible athlete. But we're not talking about athletes here. We're talking about quarterbacks. And Ty Simpson's playing at an elite level right now for Alabama. And frankly, Kellen DeBoer has been pretty good in games against nationally ranked top opponents. When he has his team's full attention, Alabama is really hard to beat under Kellen DeBoer. Their problem is when they play teams that are just sort of like nothing. That's the problem. When they play teams that nobody is expecting Bama to lose to, then they lose. When they have a team like Vanderbilt coming to their building, I'm not so sure. I want to see how low this number goes in game. I want to see if I can get below 10. Yeah, I think you're right, DeMarco. This feels like I died. This feels, and I love Diego Pavia. I love Vanderbilt. I love their coach. I love what is going on with the Doors. I do. I'm just very skeptical at their ability to go to Bryant Denny when Alabama actually has their full attention. The Tide, this is a payback game for Alabama's alumni. This is you beat Vandy by 30 if you can. if you're Alabama tomorrow. Like, your whole thing is to blow their doors off. And everyone's just going to go, well, look, Vanderbilt is a really good team and they're better because they've gone into the portal and they keep on pulling more and more players out of the portal. They scored 55 points last week against South Florida. They scored 70 points against Georgia State. They won at South Carolina 31-7. I was on Vandy in that game. They beat Vatech 44-20 on the road, neutral. But yeah, I mean, look I'm with you if you're going to tell me that this Vanderbilt team is really, really good. I do. I like them. They're really, really good. They got a couple of tight ends you got to worry about. They have a defense that's much better than people think. But, I mean, that Bama win last week against Georgia, 24-21, Kellen DeBoer kind of owns. It's kind of crazy. He owns Kirby Smart, which is weird. If I'm betting this right now, I'm taking Alabama. I'm laying the points with the Crimson Tide. I think they get a W here. Bama minus 10.5 at home. Turnovers might be a very big deal for this game coming up tomorrow, but fun game to watch. Cannot wait to watch Alabama Vanderbilt. Really, really fun game. All right, let's talk some NFL. We got a game overseas. Dillon Gabriel making his first career start for the Browns. Total is 36. What? Vikings laying 3.5 against Cleveland. Vikings laid 2.5 last week in Ireland against the Steelers. They lost the game outright 24-21. The Vikings are becoming the first team in the history of the NFL to play 2 games in back-to-back weeks in different countries, not being America, one of them. Here's my problem. Why do we care about this Browns team so much? Why do we care about the Browns quarterback situation? The Browns stink. They're a bad team. I don't care about Dillon Gabriel. I don't care about Shedeur Sanders. I don't know why Shedeur Sanders is doing interviews. He is the third string quarterback. Who cares? I don't carry the personality. The media and the Browns are both trying to keep themselves relevant when it comes to this team because of the drama that Shedeur Sanders brings in. The whole mime thing was ridiculous. I don't understand why people are caring and talking about the Cleveland Browns. They're not a good football team. They're not relevant. Shedeur Sanders is a 5th-round pick. I don't care about Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if Dillon Gabriel is going to be a good quarterback or not. I do think the Browns should find out. And they drafted him ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Thus, Dillon Gabriel should get the chance to play. There is no reason to play Joe Flacco the rest of the year. None. Let Gabriel go for a couple of weeks. If he stinks, then give Sanders a couple of weeks. If he stinks, you draft a quarterback next year. That's how this should go with Kevin Stefanski. I don't really understand why otherwise, but this is a complete no-play game for me because I don't know what to expect with Dillon Gabriel, and frankly, the Vikings may be fraudulent. Like, they might be fraudulent. If you're wondering about stats, the Tottenham Stadium location for this game, 4-6 favorites over there at Tottenham. So that's not good for the Vikings. The over is 6-4 in the 10 games played so far at Tottenham Stadium. So maybe we get points. 36 is a stupid low total for the NFL, though. Broncos and the Eagles. Eagles laying 3.5. The total is 43.5. Get this run by Philadelphia, man. They are 20-1 straight up over their last 21 games. And Jalen Hurts is 15-5 against the number on a short week at home when they're favored by 6 or less. And they are favored by 3.5 against the Broncos. Big measuring stick game for Denver. How good is Denver? How good are the Broncos? Can they go into the Eagles, into Philadelphia, and beat the defending champs? Not sure they can, but they need to keep it close. The Eagles have got a rabbit's foot stuck up somewhere right now. They're getting very lucky. The Rams should be 5-0 at this point. The Rams should have won their game. Eagles hung on last week to beat the Buccaneers, got out to a big lead, and then had to hang on in the second half as they wilted in the Florida heat. Now they have the Broncos in their place, a team that looks a lot like them. Run the ball, play defense. Low scoring game, most likely an under, 43.5. Bo Nix needs to play better. Bottom line, Bo Nix needs to play better for the Broncos if the Broncos are going to steal a victory against the Eagles on the road in Philadelphia. If you guys are with us live, don't move. We've got more coming up in bonus time with the NFL games to break down. If you guys are watching on the replay, thank you for being here. A reminder that there'll be a best of on Monday, back with a new episode on Tuesday for the Bostonian versus the book. You can check out everything on podcasts, wherever you guys get your podcasts, or watch it on our YouTube channel at Boston versus the book. For those of you live, you get bonus time. Okay. Let's go Texans and the Ravens. Are the Texans going to fall to 1-4? The betting markets do believe so. This number was in the summertime was huge. It was Ravens -9. Now it's Texans -2.5. Houston is 4-0 to the under. Baltimore is 4-0 to the over. Something's got to give. Ravens in the over, Texans in the under? Probably. Is Lamar playing? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. If he doesn't play, I'm not saying the year is completely over for the Ravens, but the division is. They lose this game to open up 1-4. Goodbye. Division over. See you later. Win this game and you're 2-3, and you have a shot still. Now, again, do you risk Lamar with a hamstring being out there against a ferocious pass rush by the Houston Texans? It's what D'Amico Ryan's team does really well, is get after the quarterback. You know Lamar's going to want to run. You know Lamar's going to want to pick up first downs. And if he can't run at full speed or even half speed, is he a sitting duck? This is a huge game. This is a wild game to watch on these two teams, because I cannot wait to see what the Texans offense looks like after some of the comments that we've seen coming out of that whole locker room about where they are offensively. They have an offense that should be able to run the ball between the tackles on the Ravens. Everybody has run on the Ravens. Okay. The Bills ran on the Ravens. The Chiefs ran on the Ravens. Everyone needs to run on the Ravens. If the Texans can run on the Ravens, the Texans can win this football game. Not sure the Texans can run on them. I don't know. Cooper Rush is likely to play. Likely. Not guaranteed yet, Goroff, not guaranteed. Yeah, right. Even the Chiefs ran on him. Yeah. Everyone's running on the Ravens. Yeah. Texans have allowed the least amount of points this year. Lamar doesn't play game in the Texans. It's true. Their defense is ferocious. It's true. It's why the number is 2.5. Tough spot. Real tough spot for the Ravens. Titans and the Cardinals laying 7.5. Total is 44.5. How bad are the Titans? Ass. That's how bad. They are ass. That's a direct quote from Cam Ward, the quarterback for the Titans, when he was asked about his offense. We ass. That pissed off Brian Callahan. He did not like that at all. Went to the podium to say that Cam Ward needs to understand the gravity of his words when he says something like that. That the starting quarterback can't say that. Well, they are ass. He's being honest. The Titans are 4-20-1 over their last 25 games. Only the 5th team in NFL history to be 2-2 and be a 7-point favorite since 1960. Like, the Cardinals shouldn't be favored by 7.5 points. They just shouldn't be. The Titans just suck. They're that bad. So that's why the number is 7.5 or 8, depending on the book that you're looking at, because the Titans are awful. The Cardinals aren't that much better, however. And that's the one worry about this number I would have. It's like, I think the Cardinals win, but this should be a teaser special. This is what I had the Rams teased with. I teased the Rams and the Cardinals. Rams lost. So now I got to find a partner for the Cardinals, because I will be teasing this again. And yes, this is my survivor pick as well. Yes, I will be sweating this out with the survivor pick. I think it's survivor. This is your survivor pick, is to take the Cardinals to win the game at home up against the Titans. That's my play too. It's kind of everyone's play, but I think that's the play. Bucks against the Seahawks. Number is down to 3. There's Bucks money in the market, which is somewhat stunning to me. 44.5. Baker Mayfield as a dog. Yup, That's why everybody loves Baker Mayfield as a dog. But how about Sam Darnold? 11-4-1 against the number straight up after a straight up win over the last 2 years. He's been really good. He's been really good. So all your Bucks and Baker narratives, he's going into a game up against a defense without Mike Evans, without Bucky Irvin being really healthy, without 2 starting guards. If this was a divisional game, I would be on the Bucks after what happened last night. But it's not. And so since it's not a divisional game, how are we not laying 3 points with Seattle on Sunday? Like, how are we not? Are we that down on the Seahawks? Do we think that this Baker Mayfield magic is that aggressive this year? I mean, they lost to the Eagles last week. They won the first 3 weeks on last-second drives. And sure, they won at Atlanta and they've won on the road, but like, I like the Bucks. I have a big bet on the Bucks to win the South, so I'm all in on this team. But this is one of the longest trips you'll make all year in the NFL, from Tampa, Florida to Seattle, Washington. Good luck for the Bucks. I hope they play their butts off. I hope they win. I like the Bucks, but I would lay the 3 points with Seattle. And then finally, the Patriots at the Bills. The Bills laying 8.5. The total is 49. What happened last night? What happened last night? Divisional opponents in prime time, when we're laying big numbers, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. And I also wouldn't do it because Drake May is 2-0 ATS all time against Josh Allen. Going to Buffalo, I think there's going to be an opportunity here for the Patriots to win this game. I think they had a shot. This is a big Ramondre Stevenson game. This is a run game, and 100% teaser-ish. This is, yes, everyone and their mom is going to be teasing it. But what happened last night? I teased the Rams. Everybody teased the Rams. It was so obvious. Tease the Rams down. They're not going to cover, but they're going to win, right? Wrong. Patriots winning at Buffalo. I'm just saying, it could happen. It could happen. Okay. People are going to go Survivor with this game. You should not go Survivor with this game. Okay. I like the Patriot teaser. I will be doing that too and teasing them down, but I also might flip it around and tease the Patriots up, because at 8.5, you can go over 14 with a teaser and give the Patriots plus 14. Can the Bills blow them out? Absolutely. Can Josh Allen put the Superman cape on and they win the game 28-3? Absolutely. But I'm not in love with the Bills defense. Okay. The Ravens ran all over them, and the numbers for that rushing defense for Buffalo is not good. So I like the Patriots to run the ball consistently, shorten the game, cover the 8.5. Cover the 8.5. This is, I think the Pats are going to be in the game. I do. I think they have a shot to win the game too, and they very well might, depending if things bounce the right way for the Patriots. If they don't fumble. I think they win the game if they don't fumble. Let's make some bets. All right, just the picks for us here. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give you 4 plays. I'm going to have way more than this going on for the weekend, but I don't know what I'm betting yet for UFC 320. I'm still doing some research. I got to look at a couple different fights, and I got some feelers out for people that I trust when I'm looking at betting fights to get their take on a couple of things. And so I don't have any UFC fights, UFC bets here for us. And then I'm going to have a lot more to go in tomorrow in college football and a lot more in the NFL going, but let's just start with tonight. And I'm laying the 19 points with BYU. I'm fading West Virginia probably the rest of the year. This is, again, a really hard spot when you lose at home by 30 to Utah. And then on a short week, on a Friday night in Provo, Utah, you got to travel across the country, and you've already gotten smacked around in back-to-back weeks. Now this is the 3rd straight week. I just think there's so many young players on West Virginia's team. This is not going to go well. I like BYU tonight, even though I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I don't mind the under in the game. I think 10 points is the max you're going to see. So I'm going to need, a pretty good performance here. I need like a 30-10 type win for BYU, but I think they're capable. And at home on a Friday night, I don't think they take the foot off the gas. Tomorrow, I'm taking Florida State. Give me FSU at +4.5. Miami on the road. It's great when you get a chance to go and play at home and, the friendly confines. Now you're on the road to an arch rival. This is a 3-point game one way or the other. Give me the home dog. I'll take Florida State at +4.5. One game in the NFL that we did not talk about, Washington on the road against the Chargers. I like the Chargers to bounce back here in this game, and I'm surprised that the number has gone from 3 to 2.5. The late window for the Commanders, and this is even before Jaden Daniels, has not been great. Playing at 4 p.m. Eastern or later, the Commanders are 59-86 straight up. 20 different quarterbacks have played, by the way. 20 different. That's unbelievable. Jaden Daniels, though, is 7-3 in that window. So they've been much better, but it's a small sample size when it comes to this. If it is going to be Marcus Mariota, and it sounds like it's going to be Jaden Daniels by the number, by the bet, the gambling market thinks that it's Jaden Daniels. But I just think the Chargers, their offense is doing such big things. Quentin Johnson has been unbelievable. Amari and Hampton is starting to really run the ball hard. Justin Herbert, 32-24-1 against the spread as a favorite, as a starter, 13-4 ATS under Jim Harbaugh. I just think this is a win here for the Chargers. I'll lay the 2.5 points. And then if you do want a teaser, Colts down to 0.5 point, Cardinals down to 0.5 point. Look, the Colts most likely should have won that game against the Chargers last week. Don't drop the football before you get into the end zone, boys. But the Raiders are a mess. Geno Smith is a mess. Leads the NFL in interceptions. Yes, Ashton Genty scored 3 touchdowns last week, but the defense, other than Max Crosby, that defense is bad. And I don't know how they fix it, to be quite honest. It's not Chip Kelly's fault. The offense is doing what they can do to keep them in football games, so I don't mind a play on the over. But I do think when you have a total, an indoor game involving the Colts, I think you have a shot to put up some big numbers here offensively, and I just don't like the Raiders in this spot. I thought the Raiders would beat the Bears, blocked the kick at the end of that game. They should have won that game. Blocked a kick, lost it by 1. Not good, but that was a brutal loss last week from the Colts, and they bounce back, come back at home. They beat up on the Raiders. Colts win, Cardinals win. Essentially, it's a money line parlay. You can see what the prices are and what the cost will be just to bet money line, but it probably won't be nearly as good. You should lay 120, 125 on this teaser, but like the Colts and the Cardinals, both to get W's coming up here for the weekend. Let's talk about a prop bet. We've had a good week betting props. All right, BVB prop bet of the day. We're 3-1 on the week. We hit it last night with Christian McCaffrey over receiving and rushing yards. Same bet this time for Jonathan Taylor. He's gone over this 2 of the 4 games. He did not go over it last week where he got 96 rushing and receiving. But in the week prior against Tennessee, he had 118. Against Denver, he had 215 when he had that monster game against the Broncos. I just think this is going to be a Jonathan Taylor game. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Get Daniel Jones comfortable, but get the ball to Jonathan Taylor in screens, in other opportunities in the open field against a Raider defense that does not tackle very well. 3-1 week. Let's go to 4-1 for the week. Jonathan Taylor over 105.5 rushing and receiving yards coming up on Sunday up against the Las Vegas Raiders at home for the Colts. Let's talk about my favorite thing about today. All right, favorite thing about today, and again, I do apologize, but sorry for the opening 20 minutes where I was pretty emotional. It's going to be a really hard weekend, and if you are coming to town, and if you have text messaged me or DM'd me and I haven't responded, please just walk on over and say hello. I will be at the services for Dave on Saturday. I have to work on Sunday, so I'm not sure if I'll be there on Sunday, but I will be there for quite a bit on Saturday. And then obviously I will be there for the burial on Monday. A reminder that we will not be on the air on Monday, as we will be with the family, with the Sherpans, and that will be a service at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Palm Northwest. It's back on the screen. So you guys, if you guys don't know this, the Palm Northwest Mortuary and Cemetery. So that will be where we'll be on Monday. And then there'll be, if you come, I'm not going to say it over the air here, but there will be a restaurant lunch after on Monday for everyone to get together and talk and tell stories. And, you know, I've never done this. So I think part of my concerns about the weekend is that I've buried family members. I've buried my grandparents. My school year, I don't know what happened. I thought everybody had the same problem, but I learned later in life that that's not the case. We buried so many kids. The first funeral I ever went to, I was not that much older than my daughter, but I went to the funeral for a guy in 7th grade who was on my baseball team, and my brother ended up marrying his sister. So I was at the funeral for my brother-in-law. Didn't know it. And his name was Matt. And it's always been a very surreal thing that I was at that funeral. The first time I ever saw a funeral, being at a funeral, was when we buried him. And we went to the services. I didn't go to the funeral. I went to the services at the synagogue. And then his sister ended up marrying my brother. We lost numerous kids along the way to suicide, to drunk driving. I think we buried, when we were on the way to graduation, we buried 3 kids on the way to graduation. And I think we've lost like 6 or 7 people from my graduating class way too early. But family, when you're burying your grandparents, you expect it at some point, right? Like it sucks and it hurts. And my aunt passed away about 2 months ago from breast cancer. And that was stunning. That was shocking. I talked about it a little bit on the air, but I didn't want to share all that much on the air about it. And she's who I lived with. When I moved to Charlottesville, I was broke, and I lived with her and her daughters, my cousins, in Charlottesville to let me to get up on my feet. I was there for 6 months with them until I got on my feet and got my own apartment, you know, in Charlottesville too. And I was the play voice of UVA women with the basketball team, and doing pre and post game for the football team. Like, that was a huge opportunity for me because I was making $21,000 a year in that job. I was making nothing. So not having to pay rent for 6 months was huge. And, you know, she passed away, and that was stunning. And, you know, there's a celebration of life for her. They didn't do a funeral. They did a very small service, and they're going to do a celebration of life later on in the spring, down in South Carolina. And that was sad. But burying somebody like this, I don't have much experience with this. So I think that's why I don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. But if you are coming to the services tomorrow, it is open to the public. If you are coming Saturday, please, and you see me, come on over and say hi. I'll be there for quite a while on Saturday. And then on Monday for the funeral as well. So I hope to see as many of you as possible. I know a lot of you guys have difficult times. Amanda feels the same way. She wishes she could be here, but she's got priorities, and people on the East Coast or in the Midwest, it's a hard flight to get out here to Vegas. So I don't feel bad. Don't apologize. You know, Dave would 100% understand about, you know, what's going on with life and family and travel and everything else. So, but he knows. So just know that he knows you guys are thinking of him and would want to be here if you're able to be here. So, but if you are coming into town, please let me know. I'll do my best. Obviously, I'm a little bit on the laid up side just because of the apparatus that I'm currently in with my arm, but only 2 more weeks left and then I'm out of this thing. So, like, we're counting down the days. 2 more weeks left until I'm freed to be able to not walk around in this sling. So, you know, it is what it is. So, my thanks goes to you guys in the brigade. I do truly love you guys, and you guys mean the world to me. You meant the world to Dave, and you guys staying with us and being a part of this just means a lot. There's a lot of things competing for your attention. And as I've said, the most valuable thing you guys can give us is your time, and giving us either live on Sports Grid, on podcast audio, or any other way you spend any of your days time with me and with us in the brigade means everything to me. So thank you. I will talk to you guys on Tuesday. I'll be in the Discord channel. I'll try to take, I don't know, like, how do you do that? Do you take pictures? Like, I don't know what's allowed or what's possible, but I'll try to share some stuff in the Discord channel, thebvbshow.com, to get into our Discord channel. But I'll pass along at least notes, and I'll write some different things to you guys to give you an idea of what's happening over the weekend. So thank you very much. We will talk to you on Tuesday for another episode of the Bostonian versus the Book.